Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of any of the live shows that I've been doing. Dr. Noelle Gabriel is not with me this evening. She's actually in the ER, but I am so elated to have my fellow colleague, Lauren Campsen, with me this evening. How you doing, Lauren? Glad to have you here. As you all many may not know, but this is Read Across America month, week, day. Today actually is Dr. Seuss's birthday, and so it generally coincides around that time. But we thought it would be really cool and unique to get online and to actually, in support of Read Across America, read some books. Normally, we get to do this in person in the classrooms, and as you know, with COVID, we've had to do a lot of things virtually. So I know that Ms. Campsen, this is one of your favorite times of the year, and you want to share a little bit about it?
Well, I am a long time, besides classroom teacher, also a reading specialist. And reading is something I've loved my whole life. And so it was the perfect career for me to spend my life teaching children how to read. And so this has always been a wonderful celebration in all of our schools. Since I've been on the school board, I try and hit at least 7, 8 schools within a couple of days to be able to read to the children because it's such a treat. And I was very, very sad that we're just a little bit early for our kids coming back to be able to be with them on this special day. So when Mr. Clanton said, I think that it would be nice to do this, I'm like, oh yeah, I would love to be able to read to children like this. So I've been reading to my grandchildren online since I haven't been able to see them lately. But so I've been practicing reading online, and it's pretty exciting. It's so lovely that we have devices and information now that we can actually be with people when we're not actually physically with them. So I'm very honored to be here tonight, and I'm very excited about reading a book to the children.
Great.
And to the
Thanks so much, Lauren. So look, we're not going to hold it up or belabor any longer, but parents who are watching, if we have students who are watching, we have a plethora of different books that we've picked out, some of our favorites that we're going to share. And Ms. Campsen is actually going to lead us off. As we are calling this is our Norfolk School Board members and friends. We have others. There will be others who are going to be joining us, not tonight, but what we've decided, there's a city council meeting, and so I did extend the invitation to some of our city council members who really wanted to be able to do this tonight, but we're going to give them another opportunity later on within the next 2 weeks to be able to support and participate. So Ms. Campsen, I am going to turn it over to you to get started with your book, and then I'll come back and introduce our next reader, and we'll keep going. All right?
All right, ready to go.
All right.
So, hello, boys and girls. I'm Miss Campsen, and I'm here today to help us all celebrate Reading Across America, day, week, month. We really celebrate it all the time. And I'm doing it by sharing one of my very favorite books with you. Now, before I start doing that, though, I want you to think a moment. I want everyone to put on your thinking cap and think about what kind of day did you have today? Did you have a great day? You scored a goal on the soccer team. You got 100 on your math test. Everything just went your way. It was a wonderful day. Did you have instead, just one of those everyday boring days that you'll forget tomorrow? Or did you have a day like the little boy Alexander in the book I'll be reading from tonight? He did not have a very good day at all. In fact, he had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. So as we read this book, think about your day today and how it compares with Alexander's day and what made his day turn out so terrible. So once again, Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Oops, I almost forgot my glasses. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and I now woke up and there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink where the water was running, and I knew it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box. And Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. Then, in the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. She let Audrey and Alan also have a seat by the window. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to throw up. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Miss Dixon, show that a little better, liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said, I sang too loud. At counting time, she said, I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Mojo was his next best friend and I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker ice cream cone that the ice cream part falls off and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag. And Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds. And Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll with those little coconut sprinkles on top. Guess whose mother forgot dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was because my mom took us all to the dentist and Dr. Phil said he found a cavity just in mine. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Phil's. Next week, I'm going to Arkansas. Let me start that one again, boys and girls. Come next week, I'll fix it, said Dr. Phil's. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then I started crying because of the mud, and Nick said I was a crybaby. And while I was punching Nick for calling me a crybaby, my mom came back with the car and she scolded me for fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, bad day. So we went to the shoe store to buy new sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose the blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, we're all sold out. They made me buy plain white sneakers, but they can't make me wear them. Then we picked up my dad at his office. He said I couldn't play with the copying machine, but I forgot. He said also to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was as careful could be, except for my elbow. He also said, don't fool around with his phone, but I might have called Australia. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner. I hate lima beans. There was kissing, ooh, on TV. I hate kissing. My bath water was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain. And I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are just like that, even in Australia. I hope you enjoyed that book. I enjoy it every time I read it, and it makes me think about maybe my days aren't always quite so bad as I think they were. And what I'd like all of you to do is think about any really great days that you've had instead of the bad days, and think about the words you might use to describe them. So maybe it could be you and the terrific, super, great, fabulous day. Think about that. Think about all the words you could use to describe a great day. And think about some other words that you might use to describe a really horrible day. And that extends your vocabulary, boys and girls, which is one of the things reading is all about. So I'm going to give you back to Mr. Clanton and let him show us some more of our wonderful videos.
Thank you so much, Ms. Campsen. I'm quite sure that our students enjoyed that. And so now, just to kind of keep things going here, we are going to bring on Dr. Gabriel. Dr. Gabriel recorded her reading earlier before she headed to the ER. That's where she is tonight. So we're going to take a moment. We're going to bring her right in.
Boys and girls, my name is Dr. Noelle Gabriel, and it is a pleasure for me to be reading to you in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday. You know, as a pediatrician, I care a lot about how boys and girls read. In fact, when you come to see me for your well checks, I give every boy and girl a brand new book up until the age of 5. So today, I would like to read to you one of my children's favorite books. We have been reading this story for a while now, and I wanted to share it with you. This book is titled Stone Soup. And the neat thing about this book is that it has an award. It's called a Caldecott winner. And just like when you will make A and B honor roll, books can get awards too. And so when you're in the library and you're looking at books, you might want to look for books that have a special symbol on it. And that will tell you that the book has won an award. So let's get started with Stone Soup. Stone Soup by Marcia Brown. Okay. 3 soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were on their way home from the wars. Besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they had eaten nothing for 2 days. How I would like a good dinner tonight, said the first, and a bed to sleep in, said the second. But all of that is impossible, said the third. We must march on. On they marched. Suddenly, ahead of them, they saw the lights of a village. Maybe we'll find a bite to eat there, said the first. And a loft to sleep in, said the second. No harm in asking, said the third. Now the peasants of that place feared strangers. When they heard that 3 soldiers were coming down the road, they talked amongst themselves. Here come 3 soldiers. Soldiers are always hungry, but we have little enough for ourselves. And they hurried to hide their food. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in the lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down the wells. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins. They hid their cabbages and potatoes under the beds. They hung their meat in the cellars. They hid all that they had to eat. Then they waited. The soldiers stopped first at the house of Paul and Francois. Good evening to you, they said. Could you spare a bit of food for 3 hungry soldiers? We have no food for ourselves for 3 days, said Paul, and Francois made a sad face. It has been a poor harvest for us. 3 soldiers went on to the house of Albert and Louise. Could you spare a bit of food and have you some corner where we could sleep for the night? Oh no, said Albert. We gave all we could spare to soldiers who came before you. Our beds are full, said Louise. At Vince and Marie's, the answer was the same. It had been a poor harvest and all the grain must be kept for seed. So it went all through the village. Not a peasant had any food to give away. They all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for feed, and another had an old father that was sick and they needed to care for him. All had too many mouths to fill. The villagers stood in the street and sighed. They looked as hungry as they could, and the 3 soldiers talked together. Then the first soldier called out, Good people. The peasants drew near. We are 3 hungry soldiers in a strange land. We have asked you for food, and you have no food. Well then, we will have to make stone soup. The peasants stared. Stone soup? That would be something to know about. I've never heard of stone soup. First, we will need a large iron pot, the soldier said. The peasants brought the largest pot that they could find. How else could you cook enough? That's none too large, said the soldiers, but it will do. And now, water to fill it and a fire to heat it. It took many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square and the pot was set to boil. And now, if you please, 3 round, smooth stones. Those were easy enough to find. The peasants grew round as they watched the soldiers drop the stones into the pot. See the stones? Right there. And soup needs salt and pepper, said the soldiers as they began to sit. The children ran to fetch the salt and pepper. Stones like these generally make good soup, but oh, if there were carrots, it would be much better. Why, I think I have some carrots or 2, said Francois, and off she ran. She came back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath the red quilt. A good stone soup should have cabbage, said the soldiers as they sliced the carrots into the pot. But no use asking for what you don't have. I think I could find a cabbage somewhere, said Marie, and she hurried home. Back she came with 3 cabbages from the cupboard under the bed. If we only had a bit of beef and a few potatoes, this soup would be good enough for a rich man's table. The peasants thought that over. They remembered their potatoes and the sides of beef hanging in the cellars. They ran to fetch them. A rich man's soup, and all from a few stones. It seemed like magic. sighed the soldiers as they stirred in the beef and the potatoes. If only we had a little barley and a cup of milk, this soup would be fit for the king himself. Indeed, he asked for just a soup last time he dined with us. The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king? Well, but no use asking for what you don't have, the soldier sighed. The peasants brought their barley from the lofts, and they brought their milk from the wells. The soldiers stirred the barley and the milk into the steaming broth, while the peasants stared. That looks delicious. At last the soup was ready. All of you shall taste, the soldier said, but first a table must be set. And great tables were placed in the square, and all around were lighted torches. Such a soup! How good it smelled, truly fit for a king. But then the peasants asked themselves, would not such a soup require bread and a roast and cider? Soon a banquet was spread and everyone sat down to eat. Never had there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such soup. And fancy, all made from stones. You see all the little boys and girls eating at the table? They ate and drank and ate and drank, and after that they danced. They danced and sang far into the night. At last they were tired, and the three soldiers asked, is there not a loft where we could sleep? Let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft. Indeed, they must have the best beds in the village. So the first soldier slept in the priest's house, the second soldier slept in the baker's house, and the third soldier slept in the mayor's house. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the square to give them a send-off. Many thanks for what you have taught us, the peasant said to the soldiers. We shall never go hungry now that we know how to make soup from stones. Oh, it's all in knowing how, said the soldiers, and off they went down the road. Such men don't grow on every bush. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this story. After I read this story with my children, they wanted to make stone soup themselves. And so maybe one night, if you check this book out from the library, you can make stone soup with your mom or whoever you live with as well. Thank you so much for letting me read to you.
Wow, learn how to make stone soup. New thing to add there. Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. We are now going to have one of our friends, and that of Norfolk Sheriff Joe Barron, who is going to read with us next. And so without delay, here he is.
And I'm Sheriff for the City of Norfolk. And I'm here today to read you a book called Where the Wild Things Are. Looks pretty cool, huh? My friend Allison gave me this book and asked me to read it to you today. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get started. Look at its very pretty colors, all the leaves. Where the Wild Things Are. Oh, hold on. Should open it there. Okay. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. You see the picture? There's Max wearing a wolf suit, and he's making mischief. And the mischief we see him making is he's putting a nail into the wall and creating a fort. So he made mischief of one kind or another. Ooh, and there he is chasing the dog with a fork. Kind of crazy, Max. He's acting pretty wild. So his mother called him Wild Thing. And Max said, I'll eat you up. So he was sent to bed without anything to eat. Max doesn't look too happy. He's in his bed and he's probably hungry. But He's still wearing his Wild Thing wolf outfit. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew. Look at that. It looks like a forest is growing right there in his room. And grew. Look, it's getting bigger. You see Max is snickering a little bit like he's being mischievous. And grew even higher. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. Look at that. Looks like a forest right there in his bedroom. And look at Max. He's got his claws up. He's acting like he's wild and doesn't have any sense. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. So he's leaving home on his own boat. See, it says Max right there. And in and out of weeks and almost over a year to where the wild things are. Look, he's sailing across the ocean until, look at that, big old wild beast. Wow. And Max still got his claws out like he's a wild beast. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Look at all the wild things in the land of the wild things where Max went. There's Max in his boat, and then got all the wild things with their claws and their teeth, and big yellow eyes. Ooh, scary. They were gnashing, they were doing all these crazy things until Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened, and they called him the most wild thing of all. So Max stared into their eyes, and look at them, they look like they're frightened, and they said Max was the most wild of all of them. And then they made him king of all wild things. See, they put a crown on Max's head. They made him the king. He's bowing down. They're all acting like, okay. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus begin. So he's looking to have a big old party and having fun and being crazy and wild. And so they're sitting there, and what do you see over here? You see the moon, and they're howling at the moon, and they're got their hands all up in the air, and they're playing around. And then look at what they're doing here. They're hanging from trees. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty crazy. They're out having a wild time. There they are, they're cheering on Max because he's the king, and they're marching in the parade, acting all wild and crazy. And then Max said, now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without supper. Just like his mom sent him out to bed without supper because he was acting all wild. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be somewhere someone loved him best of all. I wonder where that is. Probably home with his mom. But look, all the wild things, they're sleeping, and Max, he's over here looking a little bit lonely because he missed someone who loved him instead of being out with a bunch of wild, crazy beasts. Then all around, from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so. And Max said no. Look, they're all scrambling because Max is leaving, and he's back on his boat and headed out on the ocean. The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Acting all wild and crazy, right? But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. He's saying goodbye to all the wild things and headed home. and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through the days. So it's taken him a long time to get back to normal. And into the night of his very own room, where guess what? He found his supper waiting for him. See, he came back home to his own room and it's all back to normal. And what's there? His supper sitting on the table. And guess what? His supper was still hot and waiting for him. And that's the story of Max, where the wild things are. I hope you enjoyed this story and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Joe Barron. As you all can see, I've got my Dr. Seuss hat on. I want to thank Lindenwood Elementary School. And they actually gave all their readers one of these hats last year. And so I wanted to wear this in honor of them, as it is my turn now to read you a book, which is actually one of my favorites growing up. And it's actually a Dr. Seuss book. It's Green Eggs and Ham, as you all can see right here. And we'll talk about at the end of this as we go through it, what the moral of this particular story is. So Green Eggs and Ham. Get myself a little adjusted here. There we go. Green Eggs and Ham, Dr. Seuss. I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam, I am. That Sam I am. That Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? As you can see, he's offering green eggs and ham. And I don't know how many of you all have actually had green eggs and ham. I don't think I've had that either. I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. He doesn't seem to like it at all. So Sam asks, would you like them here or there? It's giving him some options. Got some big hands there, kind of showing him around. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. He doesn't like them and he's walking away. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? You can see he's in the house and, well, there's a mouse. I don't know how many of you all have actually had green eggs and ham and had them with a mouse. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you eat them in a box? Would you eat them with a fox? You can see he's got a fox and a fox. Not in a box, not with a fox, not in a house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs or ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you, in a car? Eat them, here they are. I would not, could not, in a car. You may like them, you will see. You may like them in a tree. I would not like them, I would not, could not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and hams. I do not like them, Sam I am. A train, a train, a train, a train. Could you, would you, on a train? Not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car. Sam, let me be. I would not, could not, in a box. I would not, I could not, would not, with a fox. I will not eat them with a mouse. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. I do not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Say, in the dark? Here, in the dark. Would you, could you, in the dark? I would not, could not, in the dark. Would you, could you, in the rain? I would not, could not, in the rain. Not in the dark, not on a train, not in a car, not in a tree. I do not like them, Sam, you see. Not in a house, not in a box. Not with a mouse, not with a fox. I will not here or there. I do not like them anywhere. You do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Could you, would you, with a goat? I would not, could not with a goat. Look at that, it's got a goat in the car now on top of the train. Would you, could you, on a boat? Now they've moved from the train onto the boat. I could not, would not on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train, not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. Let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. He seems like he's very frustrated. And he's telling him, no, I don't want to try it. I do not like green eggs and ham. And now he's in the water. I do not like them, Sam I am. And now he's all the way under the water saying he doesn't like green eggs and ham. You do not like them, so you say. Try them, and you may. Try them and you may, I say. Give it a try. You never know unless you try. Sam, if you let me be, I will try them, you will see. So he's gonna give it a try. How many of you be willing to try green eggs and ham? There he is. He's about to take his try on his green eggs and ham. And say, I like green eggs and ham. I do. I like them, Sam I am. And I would eat them in a boat. And I would eat them with a goat. And I will eat them in the rain and in the dark and on a train and in a car and in a tree. They're so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box and I will eat them with a fox and I will eat them in a house. I will eat them with a mouse and I will eat them here and there. Say, I will eat them anywhere. I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam I am. There we are, green eggs and ham. Now, children, green eggs and ham may not be your thing, but the moral of this story is you never know unless you give it a try. And so you never know how successful you'll be. You'll never know how something may taste or unless you give it a try. And so that's the only thing we ask you to do is give it a try. And then once you give it a try, you can learn the determination out of that, whether it's good or not. So I'm going to bring on my colleague, Ms. Campsen, back to join me. I'll tell you, all I know is that it's great, it's fun, it's hot,
Well, you know, we certainly learned some lessons from all those stories. And those are, by the way, also on my favorite book list. Stone Soup is such a great book about teamwork. Mm-hmm. It teaches a lesson. And you talked about the lesson that was taught with green eggs and ham. And the sheriff's book, Where the Wild Things Are, is such a wonderful story about imagination. And then, of course, my Alexander book was about children's feelings and how real they can be. And it's kind of nice to understand why sometimes our little children may seem like it's not a good day for them, but we don't really know the things that happened that led to that. So we always give them seconds and third chances. So you learn so much from books.
Definitely. And I'm glad that you bring that up about not really understanding sometimes the social emotional type of things that are going on. And so that just kind of the lead way. I definitely encourage everyone to join us. Dr. Gabriel and myself, we've been doing our whole back to school series. And so we're making it official. It's going to be live with Noelle and Carlos, and we're going to be doing this monthly. And so we have our next topic, which will be this Sunday, March 7th at 7:30, and we're going to be supporting the social emotional well-being in kids during COVID-19, a discussion regarding mental health. And so we're going to be bringing on some mental health experts, school counselors, and just a host of great individuals to share information. And there'll be resources that will be dropping into the comment section for you. So mark your calendars. Be sure to check us out this Sunday, March 7th at 7:30. Eastern Standard Time, and you can see it from Dr. Gabriel's page or my page. But we are so elated to be able to be doing this. As I said, we had a couple other individuals, just council meetings and everything else. So we're going to be, as it is important, literacy is important. You know, there's a lot of discussion about individuals talking about the school to prison pipeline. It's important for a child to read, being able to understand and comprehend. And we want to make sure that that's in place by the time they hit third grade, that they're either reading on or above by the time they hit third grade. And that's what we're working to do. And so we know that we're passionate about literacy, and we want to thank all of our teachers and all of our reading specialists who are helping. And I also want to remind you all that actually my book, I got some books from Dr. Gabriel, but also right around the corner from my house, I have a little library. And many of us have little libraries in our neighborhoods, or either around our schools, or they may be at one of our neighbors' houses. So I encourage you during this period of time to go find your nearest little library and be willing to go out and check out a book. And there might be some new lessons, some new adventures that you'll find. Would you say so, Ms. Campsen?
Yes, libraries are wonderful places. They've been around forever. They'll always be around, no matter how many devices and electronics we get into. There's nothing like holding a book in your hand. And I'm glad that you're emphasizing the importance of reading literature. We want to be sure that all of our children are reading at or above grade level by the time they leave third grade. It's critical. We'll be doing a lot of extra work. I know the parents will. The one thing I encourage our parents to do as our kids are all coming back to school, if your kid has been in school for a while, your child has been in school for a while, is read with your child. Every night, if you can, no matter how tired you are, just that little 5 or 10 minutes. What you want to do is you want to model your own love for reading for your child. You want to model the importance of reading with your child, but you want to do it in a great, happy way. They don't know a word, just tell them the word. They have a teacher to teach them how to sound out words. Your job, your luxury of being able to sit down with your child will love to do it with you because they get that special one-on-one time. Having that time with you, they begin to associate with love of reading, love of being with my mom, love of being with my dad or my grandmother. They associate that with positive things about reading. And that's what you want to do. Every relationship, every action you do with your child concerning reading, make it positive and use it as an opportunity to show them how much you love reading, so they'll continue to have that love of reading and develop themselves. Very, very important. This is why we have schools. Our primary purpose is to teach children to read. That opens up the whole world of possibilities for every child. So keep on reading, everybody. I can't overemphasize its importance.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Campsen. And thank you all who tuned in. Or if you didn't catch us live, definitely for those, we want to thank you if you're watching the replay. Please like and share. And like I said, we're going to do this again. And we'll have some more friends who will be helping us out and reading some additional stories. So thank you all so much. And again, remember to check us out this Sunday for our supporting and social emotional well-being in kids during COVID-19, a discussion regarding mental health. Again, thank you, Ms. Campsen, and thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to Seeing you around pretty soon.